Okay, here's a possible workflow that you could go through using Logos for your Hebrew study or Greek study. Very similar kind of workflow. I'm not going to pretend that it's the only way to do it or the best way to do it. Obviously, with software, there's usually 1,000 ways to do something, and you just kind of have to find the way that works for your brain. This is what I found that kind of works for me, and a real basic kind of thing. And then you can kind of explore as you figure out how you want to use it. So I've got Halot and BDB up on the left-hand side. I usually do that, two-panel kind of thing, like Dr. Probano was showing. And then I have BHS and my English Bible over here. Um, so, to kind of show maybe an example of what Dr. Probano was doing in class, one of the things that I appreciate about Logos, maybe there's a way to do this in accordance. I'm not as familiar with the softwares. I can go, either in English or in Hebrew to any particular word. So like this word awesome, I'm going to right click on it and it'll show me. So this is how it, appears. This is the particular form in that Hebrew text. Here is kind of I think they call this a lemma. Dr. Promo can correct me if I'm wrong. And then the root, that's that kind of square root symbol. And so it shows me all three of those options here. If I'm on this one here that's got kind of the circle-y looking thing or the root, I can come down here and I can look it up. So I can click on BDB and it will take me straight to that entry in BDB without having to flip through pages or type anything in or whatever. Here's the search bar up here if you ever do want to type. And you'll see it's got that big kind of paragraph layout like it does in the real book. But through the magic of Bible software, if you come into the formatting tab and reformat, I would highly recommend turn on outline formatting. And you don't lose any of the content really. I mean, so when it's got a bunch of verses, it kind of gives you the plus. So I think it kind of simplifies some of the verses that it's showing you here. But otherwise, it just kind of lays it out in a nice structured look. And so I can come through and I know I'm looking for it in the Nifal. And so I can kind of scroll and look, here's Nifal. And so now everything under kind of the Nifal usage is right here for me. And if I keep scrolling, you'll notice this section right here is highlighted red. That's because I have Joel, 3:4 in the English. I think it's 2:28 in the Hebrew or something like that, open. And so anything open in the Bible software, it's going to highlight that. If it does not do that for you under formatting, make sure that you have turned on current references, and it will always highlight those things for you. And so I can see the great and awful day of Yahweh right here. It also kind of gives me Malachi 3:23 as an example. It also tells me to also compare against Joel 2:11 as well. And so that's, in BDB. I could also come in here, same thing, and I could look it up in Halot, and it's going to bring me over to Halot. And same, thing. I've got this in outline formatting, and it's all broken out. And there's Joel 3:4 for me with all of the description there inside of Halot. And so any resources that you have, you'll also notice when I did that, when I right click on these, TDOT is in there. It doesn't have TWAT. I don't know why. Still a baby at Logos in a lot of ways. But one of the things I was going to call out is, if we go back up to the top of this entry on Yareh, notice that it does have a TWAT entry on that word. And so if I click on the number, that's what actually will bring me to that entry. And so it opens up that resource because I happen to own it as well in Logos. And now I can read that article on Yareh inside of TWAT right away. You'll also notice it's got, when it did that, it highlights TWAT 907 as red because I have that reference now open somewhere else in Logos. So it does this with more than just Bible verses. And so that could be a helpful thing to just have turned on. So I think that's kind of a basic workflow in terms of kind of looking at lexical understandings of words and definitions of words that we were kind of doing in class with Accordance. The other thing that we kind of did was some word searches around like instances. So I can both from the English text. And I'll actually wind up probably doing this from the Hebrew text and the Hebrew text. So here's the word in the Hebrew text, come in. And on this lemma, I think is what they call it, you can see I've got the conjunction, then the article, then the lemma form. I can come down and I can scroll and see where I've got search as well as lookup. So lookup is where I'm going to get a definition. Search is where I can actually like search different resources. So I can search everything that's open. In this case, I want to search the Bible. So I've already done that search because it did cook for a minute to let it do it. So you can see it just auto-populates that in here. Maybe I'll show you that just really quick. So when I click Bible, It pops up a search. It types all of that formatting in there. Maybe it's got it saved, cached in its memory or something now. So I've got 331 results in 214 chapters. So the way that I understand that is we've got 331 instances of that word. Maybe a really helpful thing now is I can also come over here to charts, and this will graph out the instances of Yahweh in the biblical books in BHS. Right now, it's doing frequency per 1,000 words in the book. I think that can be a really helpful thing because obviously Jonah, much shorter book, but comparatively has some of the highest instances of Yahweh in the Hebrew scriptures. Zephaniah, another one that's a heavy hitter. Malachi, Joel, all of these we would kind of expect that theme of fear, great and awesome day of the Lord, those sorts of things. Numbers, super long book, doesn't use the word Yahweh that often. And so that kind of relative sizing, kind of a per thousand, I think can be a really helpful way to look at these things. You can also just get a count per book. Obviously, Psalms is just going to kind of tend to blow everything away because it's so long. Looks like Deuteronomy is another one that uses the word quite often. But then I can come in here and I can say, okay, how often in Jonah? There's 4 instances. So, maybe that gives me a little bit of pause about saying Jonah uses it all the time. Jonah's just a really short book, worth thinking through. Micah looks like it only uses it 1 time. So, but you can at least get those numbers here and start to see kind of, okay, how often is this word used? Which ways is it used? In what books? How often? Yada, yada, yada. So that can be a helpful thing. You can do that from the English text as well. Search Bible, and it's going to pull up all of those instances. This is 316. Let's see. We had 331 on the BHS. I'm assuming that's just because of manuscript differences or something there. I'm not so sure. Maybe Dr. Probinel can help shed some light on that. But, and again, I can come in and I can do the chart thing, and it'll chart it all up for me. And then I can, switch that to frequency per 1,000, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe last thing I'll say here on Logos usage that I forgot to mention at the top is, when you're hovering over a word, if you can kind of see there now at the bottom of the English Bible, it'll actually give me the Hebrew. So there's Yahweh, verb, nifal, participle, masculine, singular, absolute. So it parses it for me, gives the Strong's number, all of that. I find that a really helpful way to kind of, at a glance, as I'm working in my English Bible, see that information. It'll also do that for you. It's a little bit more complicated on the BHS side because I think it's trying to pull in a bunch of different other resources or something like that. But you can see I've got conjunction, article, verb, nifl, participle, unmarked person, masculine, singular, absolute. So that can be a helpful way to get the parsing information or to double check yourself after you've gone through and parsed all of the pieces. I'll quickly mention, I don't know these resources as well, but Bible Hub that got mentioned in class, it has full interlinears, and this is completely free online. So this is Joel 2 that I've got up, and you can see it's got a transliteration, then the Hebrew text, and then a kind of a gloss, as well as the parsing information. So this can be a really helpful free resource to use, and it's got the Strong's number. If I go and click on any one of these, it will actually bring me to that word, and it's got a concordance. But if I scroll down, maybe I have to click on the actual Strong's number. Oh, open that back up. Yes. Okay, so if I click on the Strong's number, you can see it's got Strong's exhaustive concordance, but then a BDB is actually listed here, and it will give you all of the information for BDB from here. So I think some other students in the past have used this resource as a free resource to kind of get a chunk of those things. Obviously, not as much searching capability or whatever. You'll have to play with it to see if that's there. And then there's also a view where you can do kind of a text analysis, which can kind of be a little bit easier view for you to check your parsing as you're going. So that's Bible Hub, and that is a helpful option. I know Blue Letter Bible exists. I know very, very little about it. I just kind of looked at it for 10 minutes before making this video. It does look like they have some lexical resources in here with Brown Driver Briggs and stuff like that. I don't really know how to use this resource, so you'd have to kind of try and figure out how to use it. But this is another one that I know that people have used in the past for some resources. even has some, I guess, some grammars and things. So I don't know. Your mileage may vary there, but that's a quick rundown of Logos and some web resources. If there's any questions or anything else that I can help answer, just let me know. Like I said, I'm kind of a baby at these things, and there's lots of different workflows to go through. Dr. Berge, I'll mention, can be another really good resource on Logos. He knows that program really, really well. Obviously, probably kind of uses it much more for the Greek, but could probably be helpful in terms of kind of getting some things set up for you on the Logos side. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day.